Jigga jigga jia. Shabbat Rev Shalom. Doing something different tonight, but you know who it is. It's your Hebrew. What they do? What they do? Hey, so I got some thoughts I'm gonna share tonight. Not the regular time. I ain't been on here in a minute either. But first and foremost, let me say this, right? Sunday, in Hebrew Yom Rishon, first day of the week, 3:30 to 6. Doors open at 3:30. We're gonna start around 4. 4301 East 43rd Street, the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. First Sundays in the Vineyard presents its first presentation conversation. That's right. We're doing the crisis of our identity, reclaiming heritage, and healing. So we're going to be focusing on our heritage and our healing as a people in the African diaspora. And so I'm excited to really present this to the community. First of many. Got for the month of December, we got Sister Nyla Asa Shakur lined up, dealing with healing, natural healing and health, natural health and healing. And then in January, we got Brother Kevin Muhammad that's going to be talking about the end game. February's a little open. It's a little open. March, we got the Health, Wealth, Me, We exposition and conference brought to you by BDMW Syndicate. Y'all get to meet them this weekend. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. So if you're available, come check it out. You know, if you're meant to be there, you're going to be there. I'm going to say that, you know, because there's things in the spirit that are stirring people. And this is about a time to really align and to unite. First as individuals with yourself, and then with one another. Those who are what we know as alikes, like-minded individuals. But I'm not on here just to say that. I want to share something, right? So I can honestly say for the second time, this is like really the second time in my adult life that I have been intentionally single and abstinent. And the first time it took place was when I was 22. So this was in the prime. This was like prime. Because prior to that, it was, it was ugly. And so the spirit was pulling at me like, bro, like, you need to change. You need to get your life in order. And so that's what that rebirth process did with me in 97. Shout out to the Transfiguration Movement. If you haven't read any of those chronicles or listened to them on YouTube, I do encourage you to do so. And this is what spawned it this particular time around. Actually, I was married in a separated state when I had decided to go on a semen retention journey of 90 days. It's for my brothers, really. And it's for the sisters as well, because I want y'all to hear the principles. But the 90-day semen retention, I ended up with a record of 73 and 17. 73 days of victory, no semen spillage, 13 days of setback, right? And I had to think about that, because one time I thought, like, man, I had 13 days. I was like, damn, that's jacked up. That's horrible. But then I forgot to look at the 73, and I was like, ooh, that's a great record. If you playing 90 games, 73 and 13, you had an awesome season. So I had to really reflect on that. And I give thanks and praises to the Most High Abba Yah for allowing me to experience that. And that's where the Transfiguration Movement was birthed from that particular place, because what you have to do is have that creative outlet, because what you're dealing with sexual energy is pure creative energy. And we known to squander it, whether it be fornicating or whether it be masturbating, right? And I got a whole bunch of stuff lined up for that. But today I just really want to talk about singlehood and abstinence, something that we don't really associate. Like, if I'm single, woo, I can cut loose and do what I want to do, not understanding the energy that you're draining, the life force that you're draining in dealing with that stuff, the soul ties that you're creating, the entanglements that you're creating, the bondage even that you're creating to that fleshly tie, to that fleshly impulse. When you can really do a lot of healing, a lot of restoration, a lot of regeneration and a lot of powerful outlet creation, right? Because that energy is all creative energy. That's all sexual energy is. It's creative energy, allowing you to produce something, which is the purpose of reproduction, to reproduce yourself, right? But we've come to just, adulterate it. We've made it so impure and so just instinctual, not understanding even what sexuality is, not even understanding what pleasure is, because what we're doing is just seeking that immediate gratification just to get a nut. You hear that so many times, man. I need a nut, boy. Like, even sisters be saying, I need some D. Like, we get into these animalistic zones and don't even understand the conversion that's taking place when we do that. We're becoming more bestial, right? When we need to be still, So that's the two options. You either become bestial or you actually find a way to be still, right? And that's what the Most High all praises to y'all got me on. And this is not without challenge, I'm actually positioning myself where my challenge now is just dealing with myself and making sure I'm in order and making sure that I'm not wasting my energy and my life force, right? And so this is a powerful season to be doing that too. There's so much going on. It's like a portal. You think of a vortex, more so like a vortex. You look at vortexes. Vortexes is like water going down the drain. The top of the vortex is more wide and open. So there's a opening, but there's also a narrow, like pin-like, point where everything is much more narrow. And that's how this is happening, because as things are tightening and getting narrow, there also is the opening at the polar opposite extreme. So as materially we're finding things are drawing up and resources are becoming more scarce, well, that lets you know you need to be tapping into the spiritual realm more so. That is a direct correlation. That is what you call correspondence. But we're not looking at it like that because why? We're so carnally attached to ourselves. We're so materially in bondage with everything that we are seeking gratification from, and not understanding how that delayed gratification, how that mastery, how that self-control, right? How that ability to overcome and cross over allows you to really gain mastery and really ultimate power, creative power. And so being single and abstinent, man, it's a choice that you have to make every day. If that is your situation, if that is your situation, that is the choice you have to make every day with yourself and with, anyone that you may be engaging, And fortunately for me, the engagement that I have with my sisters, it's like, it's understood. Like, this is where I'm at. Like, period. It's not without challenge, but it's like, nah, this is where I'm at. Like, I'm not in a dating phase, I'm not in a sexual mode, but that nature is there, you know what I'm saying? It's not like it's not there, but the thing is, you have to be single-minded. That singleness really is about an alignment and a unification and a single-minded approach to life. Not narrow-minded, single-minded. That means you have a intense focus in what it is that you're engaging. And so that is this season. I'll speak for myself, right? And that's something that we have to really start correlating, because again, a lot of times when we look at being single, I remember at times when I was younger, hosting poetry, being single, I thought I could just run what I wanted to run and not knowing I'm wearing myself out again. But getting caught up in that cycle, in that vortex, it creates, them patterns that you really become hypnotized with. They hypnotize you. And so when you're hypnotized, you just find yourself just, on autopilot. And it's like, we got to learn to become more intentional. We got to learn to become more focused. We got to learn to become more tuned in and plugged in. being single and abstinent, you know, is really a beautiful thing, because we're going to talk about it some more and get into the depths of it. Like, we got to understand the sanctity of life, the sanctity of our body, the sanctity of our mind, and the sanctity of our spirit, because those things are so overlooked and so underappreciated. The value that we have for human life today is like almost at a void, you know, because we're seeing how humans are treated and treat themselves and treat one another. It's like there's no love. But Yeshua talks about this. Mashiach Yeshua, Rabbi Mashiach Yeshua says, because lawlessness increases, love shall wax cold. So people are not even keeping the holy laws anymore, you know. And this is a night that is really bent towards that as well, not keeping that. And people are just, you know, really not in alignment with what energies that they're connecting with. And I'll dare use the word as well, spirits. What spirits people are connecting with. I mean, this is across the street from my house. Like, I don't think I can zoom in, but you can't really see it. There is a graveyard. The neighbors have a graveyard with a big skeleton in the back of it. Death. That's the spirit that people are entertaining tonight. Halloween, All Hallows Eve, which the Roman Catholic Church actually Christianized, taking what the pagans worship. And I believe this was a Druid holiday, Samhain. Samhain was the name of this day, in which they would leave treats out to appease demonic energy that they were invoking, that they were summoning, that they were calling into their realm. They tapped into them portals and them vortexes as well, right? And this is a time for that. What we got to understand about alignments, configurations of heaven and earth, they align and they create these things. This is kind of going a little beyond what I wanted to really talk about, but talking about what this is about, like this is all about energy. And if we're single, and even if we are married, something I even had to learn, you got to still reserve your energy. You can't just use your energy because you want to. It has to be purposed. It has to be, but we're just, oh, whatever, dude, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do. You know, and we just get to a point where it's just like we are so self-willed that we have really no revelation of the Most High's will. We're in the way. And so, you know, my prayer is that we as a people, we start to get out the way more so that the will of the Most High can manifest. So that we can bring light and love and life back to earth. Because that's what's needed. Because we're in darkness, right? It's a bunch of death. So much hate on earth. The only way you can counter that is you present it. You present it. We are our own solutions. Ain't no government gonna save us, especially when we understand we got the kingdom of heaven in us. It's in us. And so ain't no waiting for nothing. And if there is a wait, it's a serve. Like when you go to a restaurant and you got a waiter who's waiting on you and they're providing you with all that you request from them, that's what we supposed to do with the Most High. If that's how you waiting. So yeah. Single and abstinent. That's what it's about. It's about finding a way to unify with self, with your brothers and sisters, with your family, right? With your community, with your environment, with nature, and most importantly, with the Most High. That's what the singleness is for. And even when you do find your soul mate, you find your twin soul, right? Your twin flame or whatever, your spouse, you still maintain a sense of singleness. But now you are finding ways to bring that singleness together into one flesh, one spirit, one mind. And that's the intent of it, because that's the reflection of heaven and earth. That's the reflection of Messiah, our goal, and his assembly, the body. Because all the body is supposed to be messianic. And I'm just going to pause there because that's a lot right there. But I'm going to come back maybe even tomorrow because I got some things on my mind in this vein, in this spirit I'm going to be dealing with. The single in abstinence is real. And anyone who is on that journey, my prayers are with you for your strength. My prayers are with you for your endurance. My prayers are with you for your favor in the Most High. My prayers are with you for your focus, for your discipline, for your commitment, for your ability to keep yourself in a righteous position so that you don't overly extend yourself to energies that just want to vampire you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, stay focused. Mikhail Corbin Yahoo signing off. Shabbat Shalom.